mema wakwa be na yemfa nkomo no enhyehyɛ so megye sɛ bibia yɛ bɔkɔ
o bibia yɛ bɔkɔ bunia
yɛ da nyame ase na constituency te sɛn
nyame adumti bibia yɛ bɔkɔ
super
super
na mehwɛ dress yɛ ne ukɔ na
eja garamsi kakra
obende ni nyina hia yeah but I think there are some big stories. I mean the biggest Parliamentary na moamoje proper Ghanaian family values bill no atum ene ye train so man panyi de nsa e be shots. Of course ohwa pressure na start air mount omo e against any omo e for omo a encourage president say on sign omo nso a air threaten say ansha na aids bi ne support bi a yenya no na mind mo man panyi ensign. Of course, maybe where do you stand? It will be unfair because now Parliament I hear say Ubia opposite when the vote was put. But what pressure now bana? Is it something you expected?
Yes, any expected basa. Na mkophobia umo kan bibi chire se meye insan ni ma ye nyesa no chire se etieti ankofo fa hodie so. Enti se san na ya fair to them. But we are seeing so enye fa hodie nyina na eye free sa. Right bia wo pe bia there were responsibilities come any ba. Nempo sisi aye kasei already no sabrabo no unlawful your criminal
some aspect of it your
criminal code sure say unlawful canal knowledge you know
yes
criminalized by the act act 29
yes
criminalizing and already no nam say emretianity there cannot be any right coming from criminality.
Sure.
And you know, there is a right that is being abused or threatened or truncated. And you know, because ye Ghana ye wono ye mremuno mramakwai so be gay sem lesbian sem. And omo can say ye abusing for right no. Say sa call you misplaced because right to be anyhow. Enti yenyina so ye parliament ye wo powers to legislate sabre no ya exercise sa power no a constitutional power and yenya and dey no enti obia woni opinion no ye personal but at the end of the day the parliament in its totality na pass emrano
sure
enti sabre dey say president dey say dia na abemra ogana SSC nyina ediso
but do you also do you foresee a challenge with the president assenting to sa bill?
Well, president constitutional right be say obeka say emrana ba no fa bi oni enya adwen o kase oni enya adwen eso di memorandum be kire di enti a oni enya adwen o safen o opportunity say o de be council of state say
yes
asoma bedi na mumma futu na enu so aba omo nyina decide no ba na say ekoba say baby o hono mu a president susu de na dwene ba say sabri we had the ko say yakbe ya na memorandum no kire say it be back to parliament na parliament ahwe the president aka no na say amendment bi hu hia na yes amendment na asande yakọ back to parliament back to the presidency na president in say enti senior emranity no sa ne be kwaye be fa
na mo sign so opportunity say o ka say on sign based on so a mutimi invoke mo inherent powers veto powers to push it through with 2/3 right
yes sir constitutional provisions article 106 and 108 and a chire kwaye fa so bills no hojuma na 108 no say mrano ye no e consequence bi wo national person
sure
no say yemra krapo ni hu to me krase be
say a private members bill
na sesi akwi side determination fortunately no speaker and the constitution this to me no I should say
to make that determination whether it is a charge on the consolidated fund.
Na say the speaker no ankasa de no ko no wa ono ama ho kwaema yakoye there is a presumption of exercise of that discretion say any bibia wo public person so and this here kwem ho dia na who say
but that presumption is rebuttable.
Presumption is rebuttable, but the fact is say or no mandate to exercise side discretion. And it is a rebuttable. We go back to him. I can say be a mistake here. Opening one or 2 minutes so which is a effect to national press and otherwise. Enti come on, now meaning say near a funny summer man bedroom baby a bedroom day. Says I could hope you are. Any day so because it needs to be a ATM. And fortunately, no. Sometimes if we be in a constitution, very trust what we have say and from so being a buy. But when we balancing act being a constitution, say Nipa noa, catcher is so on Yegumano. And you only need to mean as I say, on Casse, a day we be so public persons. It is hard to me now, speaker, and it is a speaker no exercising the mandate to know.
Yes.
President will need to me say because the speaker can only nyaji. It is Kubana Sadia, which is a 2/3 majority no better near to Neko. And to be honest with you, some Mrawe away, sending a worldly can both sides of the house. Dano Kai some months back. Me akra me gina parliament me gina me na so ka speaker say ye nyina gitu enti abare de ye kwanim e ma speaker gina so say asema and the appeal could be kind say obi o ha oni ne nyadwen a
on
kana ma no so na e ma ko amane kra bi obi aso so
man nsa so
and it de kira de say obi a ne nyina ya gbi na mra de da so me who Ghana needs politician bi a obetimi anya kukudu agina aso de aka say emra we de bintiase eche se Ghana fo nyina yesusum ewo enti sa wonko akosore say bintiase dia 3 years here to primary say we
na ko primary
7 December na ekwe
sure
enti yesusum ni ye mane ne amamre no ene sa gedman nko enti ye nyina na now
it is here because say Omanpanyin so here the embodiment of ye nyina aspirations no you believe say sadie we are cutting the tables when also or train so
ne woman ani say Omanpanyin woni ono ankasa will de wo ho
sure
ne mum sabre ya ye de parliament fo nyina de krata beto en media enye ono ankasa na will no mum eye mra so na original de idea so na say mra ne show say ya so opinion sabre de enye de wo pe o de mra no pe na senia ye ken say tumi o wa ne say obeka say ha say mintiase ha mintiase samfan ko parliament ni enye so enti be ya kodu ba bi say afina tumi asa enti de obeya ne so obesan wan san consequence no ho parliament bi gina so ne ya pass baby ya be do de esinkrofo na omo hurihura Ghana for say na IMF no de ba compensate nyina hu say IMF no enye country o
dabe
na enye world authority bia eye ekuo bia ye nyina na yakeke ho sika bomu de dia form Ghana ka ho Nigeria ka ho you know countries across the world and yakeke sika bomu ne say ya tisika bedwa fuyi na say ye
members no
obi ho chire no
na
wakoboa no na pede obi ho chire no esikasem o anga say ko chire obi kwaye mfaso emmɔ ne bra e wodi krum ti say media be say Bobra say no, it is not a clearing house for social cohesion no anything sikasem ne so onye ene nyina sika no kura o it is that emnu mienu nyina ya contribute sika ma minu ese hweso na fo boy ho bra afedo ya o say ene onko so ma me sika bi enti ene de na luckily ene ya me bai on paper ye kura me your friend no Anti-Plural Marriage Act of 1882.
The Anti-Plural Marriage Act of 1882.
eno na ya ben man say Anti-Polygamy Act of 1882
where US and
US for the US for the ena
o ma yemrati ya polygamy
sa emre ya no Openi Edmond ena no ye legislator
okay
ena we ye sa proposal e di buy
okay
ena de call ye no president ya sign no say friend Chester A Arthur
yes
na started free anti-polygamy say what worry me no na mrana di me ensan ya de ane mrana di ama akodu say se nye awade mpo wo cohabitate mienu kra
and we do
na cohabitation
is a law still in force
and ma printing ni nyina dia ba me de kire we se ye obi oba ma mienu tu fie na amafo nyina dwen ye se ma mienu ati ho obti o se onu omo ye awarefo a mpo ngware no mpo no emra no timi kiw emra no kiwa de nkofo mebre e kan se sesi emra no kura na developer kodu ba bi se woni meko bi a friend momos no omo de omo ni gia wade mienu hu ni yesa ho
okay
enti omo de kombenya ankomo be ye polygamy no
be polygamy
na
latter descent right
say latter descent
okay
sure enti woni law no kura so hu se omo de momos no bi foto akwa bi person ware mienu ayetani ni at ho se momos no de ka omunya ya ko me ware mienu se de ekan na so emra no mom ho kwan
so mo ware mienu
so mo man ho kwan because ya pass Polygamy Act
sure
na de hu omu kura ni se a move from being a polygamist by marriage through to
even cohabitation
to beliefs. The new position of the law is those who believe in polygamy, you will fall foul to the law. So we believe,
even when you believe in polygamy,
you show belief. See, when you do advocacy
and
when
promotion.
You advertise, when you promote, but obi when they crowd. Sebia believe in us on promote you as a branch. But when if you are found to believe in it, let's just say you have fall foul to the law.
But that's even far reaching.
So Nina so no until community right to marry 2 or 3. So we say Obagana ha and no ye problem. Ye multiple marriages and customary law, yes. We almost see under anti-polygamy law, you cannot even cohabitate. You cannot even believe in polygamy. Now, I go further. I mean, active we know America for the punishment and sanctions. A woman, as you say, a chill. Nase wa no bowa anti-polygamy no. First and foremost, but you have $500 and imprisonment, not more than 5 years.
Really?
And siachiwa yankase yankase $500
fine and custodial sentence.
And they me no together. It is all kobo sa brand bi America. No who says siachiwa dia. And they man me no nyina ye dia. Ya do be obetua 500 no wi a asan you kutum
not more than 5 years.
Not more than 5 years. In the end, at the discretion of the presiding judge. And there is a decided case, Murphy versus Ramsey.
Okay.
And I won 1985. And ye chill I didn't quack to say or ye mean.
I saw the cohabitation.
Uncle Wari, when you can say, polygamy, only my being a tenoki, and Tisabre, me no crown, no yednako. So, yednako to Amona say to say scano. And Tisabre, we can say, and Mammon's phone on person boss Abram, and you am writing a Jeffrey Musamana. And Tino say, society, no, Americano say, it frowns upon polygamy. Na ya yemra against polygamy. Na se ukoye ne do bechu koduma. E dey na different. Argentina IMF no. Omo kan America for no say polygamy baby Ghana for a pay and Africa for pay 19 mu kase mumma obi anya even Africans are domicile in US no sa polygamy laws no echo enti se mo na mo pekura ka mo maye penu me bobo brado so na ke mo mo o mo preso so enti ye de preso e de boni ni aye are na me fo mo kan chi o mo say wo mo so abusing for right so enti some of these laws no are jurisdiction specific so relative to the custom and culture sa polygamy no it's been part of us from creation. Sa na mo so mo say polygamy is a part of you from creation. Mo fine. Yeah, can ho say mo you cannot do that. And then necessary mo be can say Ghana for there we can do that. And then po sika enyina bobo no de akoto ba bi say mo fa moa yemu bia ne ho be kire no. Eno na be condition say obetimi access
sika ye be san atua.
Sika ye be san atua anyway. And sika so a enye nipa no mo take decision mo dia. You are only just managing the fund for us. And then mo de no be collateral against a passage of a law yam preso. So and that is unfairness in the system. Now young men who say America for and I say well IMF no yam form headmaster bia so mo hwe countries no so na obi a hwe say be di o mo mra so country bia woni mra enti ni country bia wo mra be hye no eno na bo ho bai enti na wudi so enti not until say o motimi convince ye say anti polygamy act no take away some people's rights and therefore we free it there, then they don't have any moral justification and moral rights. So we can say we need the ayen you say near bomra near money bobra no chinchina I just say for yes we cannot assess now maybe say president onya kukudu na on sign na
damn the consequences damn the consequences
sikane de nyina dia you bet me assess it. Probably we need to go to international court and argue ourselves, my friend. When you haven't done this to these people, otherwise, are you proposing say, nipa be first class nipa be na discrimination? You say, how na mo pese mo internationalizing discrimination there? And otherwise, the position is that this is a bill that has come through Parliament. Parliament has passed. And he expected presidential support.
Assent. Very well. In the lawyer and the Apia Kubi and Moten in Kano or a member of Parliament for Asante Achem North. Here can say some very interesting messages coming through. We say quite a lengthy one, but very important. I say Obi. Personally, I am against this LGBTQ, but let us not be emotive. It will be awkward for my daughter to marry another woman. But that is different from whether a bill is lawful or could pass the constitutional test. That is legal and not emotional vituperation. To me, the issue about same-sex or unnatural carnal knowledge is not a legal problem in Ghana, but societal failure. All these advocates of LGBTQ are from homes and belong to faith organizations. These institutions have failed the society. The offense is sodomy, incest, and natural carnal knowledge. The offenses of sodomy, incest, and unnatural carnal knowledge are still in the statute books. Mind you, our laws are based on the Western principles of enlightenment, and the basis of enlightenment in jurisprudence of Western legal theory was the eating of the apple by Adam and Eve, which opened their eyes. It was this that led to the introduction of Western concept of common sense. In Ghana, these principles led to the Bond of 1844, which culminated in the subjugation of our traditional values and concept to English law and common sense. Unfortunately, there seems to be a deconstruction of the old Enlightenment, leading to introduction of views inconsistent with the conservative Enlightenment. The opposition to LGBTQ should be a holistic reappraisal of the basis of our jurisprudence and not just responding with religiosity. Don't forget, some of us still believe that traditional religious belief is paganistic. But those who brought sodomy laws and prohibited polygamy are now championing these things. If we want to jettison these concepts, then we should have a comprehensive look and jettison through the deconstruction of the legal system, which is based on these Western Enlightenment principles. If we still go to chapels with Caucasian saints adorning the walls, it becomes difficult to challenge when the children of these saints now push us to accept sodomy and unnatural carnal knowledge as normal. Let's use this opportunity to re-establish our African identity and values. We cannot use English religious principles to determine what is proper values. Let's revisit our African values. The LGBTQ conundrum is to me not a legal one, but a cultural war, and we must win. Lawyer Maxwell Opoku Ajeman.
Andrew.
And
yes, but again, let me land with this principle.
Yes.
People who are saying that we are curtailing other people's rights, notwithstanding the existence of the laws prohibiting people have personal rights, and that is what they want to display. Yes, there were laws against robbery. Armed robbery.
Yes.
There are laws against it.
Yes.
But notwithstanding the laws against armed robbery, it's my right to rob. And you see, some of those rights have been checked by laws so that the Benya society, a code of conduct, submit yourself to.
Yes.
And to those who are calling for rights for LGBTQ people, they should also see, say, then people will come out and say also, Mr. Sumaye possessed, I have a right to rob you. So I will come and want to rob you.
Yeah.
And can that be a right when there is a law prohibiting that act? And the who say you can never glean a right out of criminality.
But you've heard the argument, what two consenting adults in the privacy of their rooms, no? I think there was a family.
America for no dear, no. So two consenting adults, they are now almost polygamy, no. And two consenting adults, and they cried, man, bear me and sacred to Chibamba back as a wow. So three consenting adults decided, say, why should that also be criminalized?
Even the case that you cited, that's Murphy and Ramsey case, they were just cohabiting.
Not
they were not even married. You cannot even equate it to polygamy. And look at who issue with it. This guy's
Obi says, "See, I would be America." Let's say, "Yamia mo na the Baba Kuyata, the Bakuzu, the Baya." Oh, Mizu and Mario. But we know me with Mizu. And any time who say you are connected to two women, no. That's just a problem. And he said, and no to me a problem or America. No, it will legislate against there. And I am very fortified in my belief.
Very well. Very well. Me but also would say and also wa dream try until from now till say the president would assent to this bill. It might remain a topical issue till say Yebedru that point. This is a running conversation. 0548 443 523 WhatsApp number 0548 443 523. Ubetimi do wadwin chiraba na yetio. Lawyer Chumberema akwaba na apom te saying.
Oh yeah, rededum. Sounds somewhere there. It's always an amazing time to meet him, either on radio or TV. And he's one person that I really admire so much. I like him. To be honest, when you say about American, but I really like him because I like Seriana. I hate people who pretend. I hate that. I mean, to me, stand will be pretend. And you know, I always like it when somebody is able to, look at you and tell you what at the end of the city. One power. And that is my stand. And you won't be this. If I didn't and Sinyandi is one person. He, and some of you can excuse me to say, maybe a different person sitting here wouldn't have said that. Wouldn't have said that. Maybe I could be very diplomatic about it. I done what church and what's ultimately more. But you see, as I'm Petia, Obi. Ajanya Bidru. Sorry. Emrano Emma Yena Timamufo Bebre nan that can say men kai asante mampo hene. main kai function, but I saw a video of him and I think it was on TikTok if I'm right. And now I say well trying say parliament and pass them around parliament politicians it's a more there. It is a more Romans. What do I say? So a trial say even before this law will be passed by parliament, no. Na sabi yam penifo a wo can be a woman or man who no. You don't know a teacher no edu woman in the chiripa even though they were not speaking in public all the time there. Now so you could see say woman in the chiripa woman say Parliament would do the needful. And I'm pampa sorry. Parliament at me there's some yama around your pass procedurally baby a sanko beam and sign a fee appear one crack. And the idea, yeah, trains. I don't
know. Clark no we must submit it to the president.
As a house we are.
Okay.
Clark ne djuma ne se o de krata beto so.
Okay.
Post office.
Okay. So
destination no.
Okay.
Enti person check destination.
Very well. Very well. Enti as it were I could baby I was a could do. Enti ye trying say mampani ade ne de and as one so the fine so ye no so be ye. But you see you must say who said then am and ade why so topical. I don't know how you be ye can be brave. Ni nyina na say as ye ya fa some question and touch ne say mampani say wo mu woni wo mum za wo si into when dey. But an answer boy you need to take a side. Obi, we need to take a side as a country. Yani fi adi a ye beto ye for no mpanifo ne dade no. Na o man no woni gina bia no gina. No man no woni hyehyɛ ya no yete ho. Enya de na me wo fa ebetumi aka bia sesa no because no ye wo no beto so. Sabi ni papa ne maame beto so, me papa ne maame beto so, me nana no beto so. Se o man na yete mo no, yen de yen hyehyɛ ya nie. Even before some proceed, maybe personally, even though I'm a lawyer, but I'm one person that I don't support say a G ordinance if you are from some man by yes, I don't support it. My reason is very simple. Obroni anyi yen ya wari sta bi entom. Ompe de bia de ahwe. Adana yen ji wo mo de ho.
You mean the ordinance marriage?
Yeah, I mean let me correct you there. By customary law.
Yes.
Customary marriage is marriage.
It's marriage.
Exactly.
Sure.
No, but see, I say now, no, it has become something like that.
But that is definitely not the position of the law.
It's true.
And then so our say
is Ayama chapter section 1 marriage akwa say yeah no we
that's the point.
Was an okay fear the anyway.
Won't marry you. Mr. I saw you come by you.
One more.
Obi.
Entiasi endimu. And a village. Name Mrana dear.
Yeah.
Who are we are?
The okay is absolutely the case.
Yes.
But the point is, Messi and man be crown. We have first one, one, yes, second one, I'm not. But meanwhile, and so and said okay, and no near what ya the Ankasanka side. Sabita for you have bet me a pair bontina and a pie be in if you had about me, a bay adjuman. Uncle Fian, you know, or back and what not send papa, and mamma, made in ye. Yakoma marriage registry, Ekosiisen. Aha, IIT. Sinyandi bana member by the guys who appear once in about and now, and I read about me. I mean, are you okay? So, Pia Monte, I'll buy and when men are ban, oh, there was a who could not better me. Who taught you that? And not possible. So, you were money and you say, and yet this one and once near the this work was as I see bit of right in the Befru to the Acro. Could you ever twin? Yes, I know. And ye bandy about to say, O my Muhano. Yet, dear, yen to Mr. Sabita French and Mam, you know, say, now, my sister become as a woman. A man, you and mamma, Baku must act as a man. I mean, can you imagine? So you can imagine. Mamma, you know, and so Baku must act as a woman. So what you say, then you need a woman to be with you. So why you was a Barney Bama? Exactly. What you say? That is why you want one of you to pretend to be the man and the other to be pretending to be the woman. So that you two can live together. Can you imagine this? then we na we say eno na woti wukuro mo agye atom anti etwa se me so se me po me mpo me nyentom adan ya na akoboboro atro say you be human right na dun kan hu say human right na absolute na
a human right and more support you are preaching hate
from
biblical
times no is AD war.
Yes.
AD no right no a new expression. It was not absolute.
It was not.
Because
yes.
people can say a beer we
sanity,
which is a responsibility that was attached to the right.
Even when a man dominion over the earth, no, or can say had
so right be no was assi so nipa enjoy ya
absolute.
Ebi ni ho. So I don't know woman night say because your body say human right no. Until then you say see by all means no it must be so and that you cannot interfere. And the police should be. Say police you are no way or the other right be no has been interfered with. You detain you. Utimi pien ko ba biara, utimi nye phone call, utimi nya hwe. Eno so FM. Anu na ndie ha mo. Ana ndie normal. Hello yes in radio. All can na me read case na no Mr. I was just people at the end obi no bit cohabitation what it does one worry no name to say bia I mean like how because be empranche what's it and no and I'm some akoya mam ye no one be ma akon na ntinti what jeni na find it together
assume he says samre ba Ghana ha currently 8% of member go Ghana has kid the move so now ecclesiastical right no yakupon kra di man Satan. I say, what did me cause so much name of the crowd
in the crowd and found
right to be
what does it? Obi, only mammy and not ticket. And I'm my grandfather, my papa, whatever. And then only can you in the way.
Come 100 years.
What does it?
5 years.
Can you imagine?
They're comfortable. They cold behold. They're comfortable. With the Jauna Nanukra, come out there. It passes Amra with Ghana because Africa is what ye.
Yeah.
What does it?
Yeah. It's true.
So, I mean,
it's true.
So what do you know? When you're okay with this, but there is no African country. I'm yet to see one. Or you're against polygamy.
No
African country.
In any case, we Islamic countries.
I
thank you very much.
So take this your human right to Saudi Arabia. And go and tell them to be allowing their people, their men and women, to be practicing lesbianism and gayism. But they are also a sovereign nation just like Ghana.
Well, we ambassador no what you say.
So they say, some Muslim, hey, I don't know, be able to why are you mute on them? Say, yeah, now, Mukari and a senior, I bet me I can't. And as I say, Obi. Ayadiaba and see the scene I don't know yes witchcraft bill and then the bank back be a come one on pennies was signed the Parliament west wait dear slow
no say the Parliament and just one sign
Parliament
just when quite when you perceive who waiting when you correct maybe I won't be I so the senior I'm taking you from your word
or constitution
but wait dear when quite on bearing right Sadia will quite one bury the rights and I said we don't find anyone. So that when the COVID by there was there was a lot of pass
executive instrument
within the same day now said be not partner
certificate of agency.
Thank you. One for no been to so Obi waiting to be and so and I know can say be Okoye state of the nation was say it is only an unwise president who doesn't take an advice. To a minimum send about Dr. Bamiya Tinufo. If you want Tinufo, I'm an answer. Acquire the Abacano. On Kahunsa. Yan Benusin Fidia Benation to obey a beer Basanko. This law must be signed. It must receive presidential assent. It's important because on my sabi Yeti and son, you will submit a fracture and I'm a share a person for me. You won't come for your Christopher. A mood dear him. And now to say, for some more boss idea who did, but from there. When we been penning for being as a member and pocket. After the noon to Abacatros, yes, more the yes, I am working here, the which of them? None. A chero say, Nipa do na wudi wo so na yetumi ne de ama wo sefa de anim no. Yempe. Yes, yempe no. Ni yempe matana asante mambohen e de na o ka de chero. There may be others that may be me na me hu ye, and as be amente ye. But there may be others. And untino sɛ nnɛ nyame ayɛ adom ama parliament fo de mawie wɔn fa wɔn so yɛ Ghana ne bi wɔn di anim Ghana kuakuo ana yɛ baanodafo ana wɔn akɔhyɛ mu wɔn mu akɔdi anim de yadwe a yɛn yɛ te ha yɛ ka kyerɛ wɔn no ɛde akɔyɛ adwuma ɛnsɛ dɛ ɔka yɛ wɔsi onim obi a ɔka sɛ wɔn support and even when the speaker was calling for the Wednesday vote no wɔsi those who are not in favor say no. And yanti obi oka no obi oka no parliament
hoye mem
kono ko ebi man chance am na krangwe pa
ka ba ko ba no what is it no once obi adwanya kukuduru anka no wadam ho a kire say the 275 members na representing in that house agrees that yentimamfo na yesoma wo ho no se yempe. And that's why they have also gone to reiterate our voice in parliament by saying no to it.
But in principle, said the Awokano, Nipani Bebre are not against the principle behind Sam Rawi. What some have raised issues about the penal regime. Yes. The penal regime is a custodial sentence for 5 years. Promotion, advertising. When you act, no. When you engage in the act itself, and I think not more than 3 years or so. But when you promote,
the promotion is more serious than doing it. Doing it is between two people. Promoting is to the general public. So when you say who confuse the general public, no more the consequence on the country no bigger than doing it.
Nipa mi no
anything no we agree say sadie no ekosoro we say no American law no you see the belief in it criminal
uji polygamy
who believe in it and then so who more so akoye cohabitation so and polygamy.
Let me read one paragraph to you. The Edmonds Act restrictions were enforced regardless of whether an individual was actually practicing polygamy or merely stated a belief in the doctrine of the Jesus Christ, the Church of Jesus Christ of later days on plural marriage. Just say they believe in plural marriage.
Whether or not the individual is actually practicing it, who issues with it? Can you imagine?
Would you do it? Crash as a basur.
So young pampa, so one year, no wouldn't know issues with it. Cohabitation boy on you can even say man you can cohabit on Pumbia, the next one with Jamina. To one polygamy now can why never maybe. And no issues with it.
Go beyond cohabitation.
So
that's a belief.
To the belief. Meditum crass had in a compo won't test it. Who home for Hombra. I would have got a man or possibly a bit to find one as a baby. We see me in find me $500. As I put them not less than 5 years. And you are okay with this law in your country. But in your mind, no media meeting just Rabbi Sa or Mimicro. Now, me and say it will affect the country financially. My makers and Nana didn't end about me. Nana, what can I say? Or my mo. I dear Bako pet, and I'm a man watching. I'm a mobile. Nesican yet so. Now, me, I don't want wabane. Says you can say the enjoying. Why, and I says, when I did, no one knew the entire hour they can say. So I am from the World Bank and no one can come once one may see cars. Can I was here to soon about money? The first one to know. That's about music can say. Why is was some Ghana? Bank of Ghana
can say. I just some no can man politicize.
No,
process of enactment.
Senior, no, I'm not politicizing, but I'm just drawing the attention, sir. If IMF or World Bank decide, say because of the step I take, they are going to punish us. Now you come my sika. Said the memo say that there's a letter circulated. I don't know whether it is true. Say if finance minister and Pampa,
I will confirm.
You need to confirm. Fine.
So say a Yampampa say free finance ministry now, but they are citing several funds that they think that if this process should go through to the end, it may be affected. I want to make a sure say that about me, I say, or man, why more Bango Ghana? Ghana has money. So let the IMF and the World Bank take their money, even if I won't speak about what the moment for. Says the Canadian say, "One man who had an intina now is the time. Get those monies, help us to grow and develop, whether or not they will give us money. Because yeah, man, more threats now, as President Moose told them, say, yeah, you seconded to more threats beyond the baby. Would this guy bring out the condition be tired of who said, no, the yes, young Posika. We need that same authority now, President Moose, the Kasai, again today in this country. The president should speak and behave in that same direction. I'm passing the idea to me, man, so near him. Because your position will never change. Obi, Yen Zanda, and found no one court, they can even go and sleep in the court. One person got out of some fear cutting and any problem. It is also their right to do that. To go to court.
It is not their right to practice the unlawful act.
Yeah. It is their right to go to court. So they can go to the court, sleep there, do anything there in the court, any problem. But the Akamu now say, whether you go to court or you not go to court, the law has been passed by our parliament. And once our parliament has passed that law, I'm glad that that issue of Article 106 is in the bosom of the speaker. And as he said, the speaker doesn't do anything wrong with it. Has a person and then no issues with it. Oh, who into another room, the other doing something for pens is
very well.
Almost more than enough pens, my near Quenim. The finance minister can say, I'm pass on the translator and come on Padia. One also organ in the subject of one teacher. No, senior, me is a small woman, I just added it. I mean, Anta, right? Yeah, I mean, Anta, what's my personal promise? So, Mr. No, I will be a number hot. Be very careful with your comments. And as a watch is your bay, what that for?
But Ebia, ne soma woman and yes, I didn't into. But from where he sits, he's being a realist, a pragmatist. After seeing the real situation with our finances. But that is not to say, sir, that letter is confirmed. Domi, Moncheke, the letter circulating say free finance ministry, Mon confirm mami if indeed a free one. No, that's why I said we have to confirm. For now we cannot confirm. Yeah, we have to.
Whatever we can say is it is a view being articulated.
Absolutely.
It has no impact on the process of the
of lawmaking.
It will be
an excellent dream.
The moment Semrei President Sanwie, Naso Biko Trans Baby can say, running yet. Then you'll be promoting
the unlawful act. The full force of the law. Massa.
Bassa say Attorney General some prosecutor.
Yeah.
And we to court Mandemus
order to compel him to work. Yeah.
Correct. You see, Yen to say whether it is on the left or it's on the right. Sesia is not idea. Ghana for Nasi and Pegasm, lesbianism, kill plus, they we don't want it in this country. In fact, me teach about the law of evidence. Alan East, where gay. So we know them that for them they like it and they love it. One more practice, any problem. No you had here, Yempe. The Yempen would be from a share con kitty casse. You understand I mean how? So what now? I mean, I just can't imagine it. How? Say be my grand was some before records here correct as this way. One say I be come to balance and so. One say number him say a man does say.
Yeah.
Nice because when you be still.
Kisi.
Ebi nyina and I was say young confirm na.
Yes.
Say me anta
but if we finance
who's the head?
Ministry of Finance, passage of the proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values. Also brief on the immediate impact on the implementation of the 2024 budget, March 2024. It is not signed by anybody. Is
it on a letterhead?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I think you let me forward it to you.
Please do.
Let me copy. Me copy of it. I saw it.
Yeah, they can do funny stuff.
Okay. Anyway, so something that makes a mon confirm
the beauty of it is
Kisi
that
PROB from the Finance Ministry. I'm on front. I think I've sent it to you. I've sent it to you.
The beauty of it is that it remains an opinion being articulated
by them.
It is not in any way part of any process
of lawmaking.
Maybe I could run this. We've gone out of lawmaking into seeking assent.
But it's also possible, say, some of these opinions, depending on how effective they are, they can inform the actions of the president going forward.
But a president is also mandated to act constitutionally. And the leeway ni say raise issues with parts of it and return,
which can be amended or looked at.
Or looked at. But the only alternative is even at the point of refusal, there are also remedies.
There are remedies. Okay, very well. I think what do you think about it? Like
you see, when the ministry issues briefs, the way I head,
yes,
that shade in the blue.
Yes,
it doesn't
look like
flag on the side. The letterhead of the ministry doesn't look like that.
It doesn't look like that for me.
So the question is,
I think we have to be careful. We have to be careful.
That is that.
This thing is going around in your name.
Ministry,
speaks for the government on economy and finance.
On economy and finance.
This my guy, Manasi.
Oh, there is a guy called Manasseh.
Yeah, he's the government spokesperson on finance.
Okay.
Maybe they should.
Manasseh.
Now, so then, when we are speaking to it, we know, sir, this is what we are speaking to.
Because me, I'm very surprised if truly, I mean, natural side way.
I don't believe.
And I said, he's aware that this thing has been written. I'm very surprised, Obi, knowing his background and anybody of free ban. I mean. Anyway, this thing we don't want it. We don't want it.
we give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Ekosiisen, a higher Sempa FM. There are quite a number of your messages coming through, but I think Ansana Tig Bebemuno, lawyer Maxwell Opokwajiman message, I think in deconstructing, and I think he raises some very, very, very critical issues about, say, the kind of jurisprudence we are practicing in this country, a borrowed jurisprudence, and it brings in its wake a lot of concept. In a way, for example, he makes the point, say. Mind you, our laws are based on the Western principles of enlightenment, and the basis of enlightenment in jurisprudence of Western legal theory was the eating of the apple by Adam and Eve, which opened their eyes. It was this that led to the introduction of Western concept of common sense. In Ghana, these principles led to the Bond of 1844, which culminated in the subjugation of our traditional values and concept to English law and common sense. Yes.
Bond of 1844, to begin with.
It was a
and number two, they say, your laws are premised on European jurisprudence.
Yes.
Laws of Ghana includes
a common, sure.
And it's not totally right.
You see, there are sources of law.
Sure.
Common
Article
law
11,
account.
common law,
customary law account. Okay, as we wholesale imported only common law and now European law. There be what was that?
It be a constitution.
It was generated from
a great version of here and there.
Yeah.
And when you have
what is here?
No, but this bit about me,
okay.
Or say don't forget, some of us still believe that traditional religious belief is paganistic. But those who brought sodomy laws and prohibited polygamy are now championing LGBTQ.
They are confused.
Yes. If we want to jettison these concepts, then we should have a comprehensive look and jettison through the deconstruction of the legal system, which is based on these Western Enlightenment principles. If we still go to chapels with Caucasian saints adorning the walls, it becomes difficult to challenge when the children of these saints now push us to accept sodomy and unnatural carnal knowledge as normal. Let's use this opportunity to re-establish our African identity and values. We cannot use English religious principles to determine what is proper values. Let's revisit our African values. The LGBTQ conundrum is to me not a legal one, but a cultural war. And
but laws are evolved and are formulated from our culture and whatever our values. And today,
our morals and everything all
as
comes
a matter
to
of fact, this is a function. So I believe, in my view, meaning.
Advice no. I totally agree with him.
Yeah.
Say, let's be ourselves. I agree with him. But again, let's demonstrate to them also that, notwithstanding the pressure and the influence, we can have stand the capacity. Maybe go school. Incidentally, room I'm called Diane. It says form. Any time no to says form no be jot. Me Sophie said, baby, I see, and I insisted, and I didn't do it. Even I call. Me near me, no, be able to say, me no more call. And so Nipa, which I may feel crab, my mammy, but it is not my style. I won't do it until let us demonstrate that commitment. Say, notwithstanding, me now for influences of more. Me so me no.
Oh no. Very well. Very well. Atik, me patch on.
Free text message now ever so.
Page a microphone, You
see, of course, colonialism there, it brought in its wake all kinds of imports. And one of it is our legal system. It's an imported concept and a construct.
Sure.
But I said, before the advent of colonialism, we had our own governance systems. We had our own sets of laws. And no BNM say, we are TM and so on and so forth. But of course, society has evolved. Colonialism brought its positives and negatives. You can argue, say, the introduction of English common law had both its positive and negative. But nonetheless, it came to help our laws grow in the way we implement our laws and the way we even exact punishment when people violate the laws and so on. But after independence, for example, this idea about marriage, we shouldn't have even countenanced ordinance marriage and our marriage by ordinance, because customary marriage is customary. It's a cultural thing. What is here?
Yeah.
And we should have just said, look, let marriage be governed by customary law.
Simple.
So is that simple
and short?
What is here?
Interestingly, it is section 1 in the
that
marriage
talks about ordinance.
Act, no.
What is here?
Yes. Section 1 talks about
customary. We should have just stayed there. Yeah. But to proceed to introduce all kinds of, to the extent that Christian marriages are deemed not to be complete until they are signed in court. And to go who Obana and Abem and Busiafona, Jitum say, ya penalty say mubetimi aware. It is not considered complete, and the marriage is not considered marriage properly or strictly speaking, and properly so called until say yebefri bi amane free kotaba abema mo sign it. That is when it is considered to have been complete, which for me is wrong to begin with. And now cover all these issues about polygamy and the rest of it. But you see, in as much as we imported some things as a result of colonialism, the concept of marriage, we've attempted to dilute it a bit, but Newman, there are still elements that we are polygamy. Look, try hard as you may, we are Christian or we are people are married more than one, even though allegedly their religions prescribe multiple marriages, but they are still doing it because, look, this is Africa and the culture allows you to do so. It doesn't matter whichever religion you subscribe to. Like I said, marriage is a cultural thing. It is not a religious thing. Religion only says, in the context of Islam, it says that, what is it called? When you marry, you have fulfilled half of your faith. But it does not say, chinchina, so worry, and it tells you, say, worry, adipa. But how you do it, is cultural. What must say? Having said so, says here, in the African context, polygamy is allowed. But elsewhere, you can't marry more than one. Bigamy is a criminal offense in the US. That is, if you marry 2 women, it's a criminal offense. But the funny thing is, yet there is this weird and rather disgusting phenomenon called polyamory.
Yeah.
They are in an open relationship. But sebi. Obani ne bema fufro betimi ada, and a mema fufro betimi ada. Usune ma fufro betimi ada. Yet you are considered to be married. So between any obi asabi nanka odi obi beba ewo mra kwansu. Which one is better? A second wife, which one is better? And in the US, so it is okay to have multiple girlfriends. Men worry, but you can have multiple girlfriends. It is allowed. So promiscuity is commonplace. But idea ebe breast hard no aseno omunjintum. But yen we share a culture now. Promiscuity has no place. Yeah. Even before the advent of colonialism, look, promiscuity in all its shapes and forms. Yenjintum. That is why in the past, ube abema nyindru baby a yenim se we di obetima ayi djuma hwe no ho no ahwe oba na ya ware ama. Because they don't want you to get into such state whereby you become promiscuous. But the promiscuity is commonplace. And when such a society is attempting to export values to us, such values have no place in our setting. And say but the interesting thing is when they say, Ghana, if I had my way, we should legislate on polygamy. It should be made legal.
It is. Under customary law.
It is legal.
No, I'm talking about under ordinance in America.
Okay.
What has here?
Okay.
Under ordinance, say nuna echichuru nkro. Fisa kasumi law nchichuru.
Sure.
Look, there is
I
no
hear there's a case.
No, when you marry under ordinance,
yes. You cannot marry more than one. Yes.
Yeah.
But you have the freedom not to go there. There's
Absolutely.
No,
but he's saying, sir,
let's legislate
even when I decide to marry under ordinance,
yes,
I can still have the
let's
liberty.
decriminalize polygamy under ordinance.
Okay.
What you must hear?
So what I'm not married under ordinance, you can
still marry.
Yeah.
That what you must hear?
Like pertains under customary
law. So that look, if all these things are allowed, Sebi.
Develop a private members bill.
I am more than willing to work with you on that. No, I am more than willing to work with you on that. Marty said there's a case pending before the Supreme Court seeking interpretation on that.
On the ordinance bill.
No, but I think there ought to be. Yes.
No, I think they are done with that case. If I'm right.
So I'm willing to work with you on this. Look, let's amend that Ordinance Act to allow for polygamy. That's what our culture allows. Obia and share will say worry more than one. So we show who now say one
simple.
Now ubetimia. No wakoye, but ensure bichinchina nipa no ordinary law nyaya and maybe the person has the wherewithal to marry more than one. Men shen keteze and manipano and worry just one. Now Mika and we know. My member LGBT and the 7 huna ego so. You see, my argument is that issues of lesbianism and gayism, they are not issues of human rights. Who now here lawyer? What is a human right?
Asempa FM.
Lawyers in Pennsylvania.
What is a human right? By any stretch of anybody's imagination,
Yes.
transgenderism cannot be considered a human right.
In Ghana.
No,
everywhere
like,
else, it shouldn't be.
No,
I'm saying
it should not be.
It should not be a human. Any human right.
So,
what you say?
So that position is not clear.
What you say? It should not be. And it's all catch them say, sebi. People who are mutilating their organs to be called another sex constitutes a human right. Ukai FGM, female genital mutilation. It was criminalized in this country. And your bodies. If Sabi. me urban and I feel I want to get rid of my somewhere. Me am decision.
Confidence.
No,
Somewhere doesn't apply to any anyway.
No, me there's a particular place.
Everybody knows.
Yes.
No, some people don't know.
No,
Because
we can take judicial notice.
What you say? Now so we criminalized it. It's the same thing. Sebi, we a Bema, you go to chop off your organ in the name of wanting to become a woman. And we say that this is a human right. Why didn't we say FGM is a matter of human rights? If the people could mutilate Sebi, some organs or some parts of Ma as part of cultural practice, yes, see there be and yet we are invited to condone and yet part of female organ no. In fact, the entire thing should be gone. And in place where implant some artificial baby so that nipa our friend who bema. These are not things that you consider as human rights. Now you ba or my
but with the FGM analogy hold, since in the case of FGM, it was against the will of young girls. But yet it was not a decision they had made in attaining majority. And on make it decision in the at that age, that's who could just had any free right. It is against.
But when you say LGBTQ identity is assigned to Sabi. If Nipani a lesbian and now a gay, at birth, they decide they start giving them such weird pronouns.
I say
they them because Akolano has no or Nimni Akoso. They assign those things.
Yeah,
to
those
them
are the absurd levels it's getting now.
That is where it is. And I'm saying that absurdity, we could use our metaphor no, to justify it. Say, then FGM no. Same, it was the parents and for the most part, and our society and they determine say, Obadi say you try hanum no every ho. Why couldn't we condone it? Because I didn't enjoy it. In the same way, Sabia who could suicide will we any criminal offense. If you attempt suicide, any criminal offense.
It is.
Are they? And then you no dinu.
And I'm saying we are saying from
in the same manner, who see media miko chame. These are absurd arguments. And say, look, we shouldn't. This whole argument shouldn't have even tolerated. We shouldn't have even suffered it in this country. But people were like, it's against human rights. Until American can say, what is human right? We need to define it in a context. At the end, a constituting human right. Now. You see, US embassy. You see, they should recognize it doesn't matter how tiny you are as a country, you are a sovereign country. And sovereignty is not determined by any other country. What is here? And Ghana is a sovereign country. We have the right to self-determination. We can determine how we run ourselves and how we manage ourselves. So you see, MP trumu. And it is not for the US embassy and the US to tell us, then they begin to threaten us. Then it is going to sever aid relations. My relations, aid 50. And we've been receiving aid from the US only God knows how long. And they tried it with Uganda. Uganda is still thriving as a country. Yes, Uganda is still thriving as a country.
Their GDP growth this afternoon.
No, Uganda is still doing well. You don't need aid. You see. There's Dambisa Moyo. There's this
Dambisa Moyo.
You should read her book.
Yeah.
We don't need aid. What we need is trade on equal and you can say grounds.
We need even trade
on fair terms.
Yeah. Trade in Africa will be
what is here? What would grow us as a country and as a continent? And he said we begin to trade more. Yeah. Fair terms of trade between Yen as Africans and the rest of the world. That is all we require.
No, amongst us will be enough.
Yeah.
If that's also a major point. If we are able to encourage intra-African trade,
Dambisa Moyo's book, Debt Aid.
Debt Aid, that's the title.
Aid. Yeah.
It tells you say aid has not been effective. Inti sebi crumbs ni mu eya mu di man inti you want to threaten us we should violate our value systems so that we can continue to receive the peanuts you give us. Mu starting my peanuts na nyenne amfaya nkosi bebia. And I think that this is about time we told them to their faces, say, look, if you frown on bigamy, you cannot tell us we should frown. We should accept LGBTQ. No. Until you accept polygamy in your country, you have no right to tell us what to accept or not, what not to accept.
Even when you accept polygamy in your country, it will be your choice.
Yes. As a sovereign country, that's your decision.
It will not be a justification for
us to accept the LGBTQ. That is true.
Of course.
But you see, near Ekumikrane Nkrofia IMF. What is the role of the IMF? IMF's role is to ensure that there is more economic cooperation and stability in the international financial system. The IMF has no business interfering in the way countries run the way governments run their countries. They have no business in determining for us, say, Yanji LGBT and Q and Tuma. It will become a precondition for them to deny us access to. We are, like Sina said, we are a party to the IMF. Yes, you are contributing. And see, what brought about the IMF in the first place?
And my other worry in Pony said, because, and then I made much of mine here, said, there is aid and there are loans, commercial loans.
Yes.
They are two different things.
Aid, my free money, grant, any other. We don't have a problem with you. But some loan, a commercial agreement between many. How then do you tie it to conditionality for what?
And you see,
when I will pay back.
That is the point. And the condition, you see, conditionality. As for conditional lending, there.
No, I agree. Yeah. I mean, generally, it's there. But conditionality, I mean, so and so. And some of them a loan. A loan?
No, usually what they do is even with concessional lending, I mean non-concessional lending, which is what we are doing. Ghana, we are not even qualified to receive concessional lending. You see, a lower middle income country. And that has taken away certain privileges we used to enjoy. So, a lot of the lending are free non-concessional, which means in the form of loan. And usually what they do is that their conditions are usually the economic reforms.
Yes.
Absolutely. They have nothing to do with human rights. Yes. What is here?
Yes.
This is the first time IMF is telling us as a precondition,
but I don't know, has IMF spoken officially?
Well, that's the story.
I mean, because
I think we've not, or at least I have not seen an official communique from the IMF. From them directly, I think we should be. What we've seen, the US ambassador on the Wakasa.
Yes.
And I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course.
No, but it's not an opinion.
For a diplomat,
it's an official position from the US government.
Exactly, anyway.
Well, he represents, she represents the US government.
Only in your opinion, it's an official government position.
Yeah, as an UN ambassador be on human rights.
Exactly.
Those are the two official, and I think.
And the IMF,
I think I need to officially,
because if officially they haven't spoken, then there is no point even discussing. Because they are focused, like I said, after the Great Depression,
and I think
which triggered the Second World War.
This document that you also doubted, also cited IMF and
absolutely.
If we're able to authenticate this way, a conversation. You see, the Bretton Woods, because they wanted to be meddling in the affairs of countries. They came for specific purposes to ensure more economic cooperation. Because in NTR, they were bothered about economic cooperation. Is a Great Depression, they didn't buy. It was serious trade wars amongst countries. To the extent that they engaged in different competitive devaluation. Devalue currency. Now, devalue currency. Because once you have devalued currency, what it means is that your exports become cheaper. So you are able to export more. And to be an export, expensive, balance of payments issues are worse. The balance of payment position becomes terrible. Because ultimately export it, and they are not earning more from exports. But wow, exports are cheap. US was fighting China because of devaluation. Because it made their exports very competitive. They are cheaper and they can export more. And it was one of the reasons that led to the Great Depression. And the Great Depression and the hardship that is what led to the Second World War. And to avoid a repetition, and there were 3 experts Henry Morgenthau, Dexter White, and John Maynard Keynes. They met to say, look, we need to come up with a plan. That's what gave birth to Bretton Woods, to foster more economic cooperation. And I would be very surprised, say, Omono, they are now getting involved in Nyoma that have nothing to do with issues of economics. Beyond, in fact, way beyond their mandate. And they know too well not to do that. But US for the double standards are beginning to they are
because
beginning
it is
to
the US ambassador who then said, "Sir, we risk destroying our diplomatic relations."
You see, and that's an empty bluff, and I'll tell you why. They look because of China's presence in Africa, and China is one country that would never be bothered about how we deal with these issues. What I say, and they are in competition with China over which country, like you can say, between the two, which country is dominating in Africa. China's, intrusion, not intrusion, but influence, is growing. In fact, Obi Nakan has is growing even faster, and they've become more influential than even the US in the affairs of Africa. Because Ombema loans, conditions to sell LGBTQ but so African countries feel free to deal with the Chinese. And if you are saying that we risk, our relationship with you are also risking your relationship with us, which you need more than we do. Like I've said, the aid you have given us over the period, what we need is more
in comparison to what you've taken out
and continue to take. So if there's anybody who is running a risky business in this conversation, it is the US. What you must hear. Look, like I've said, since almost starting my aid, what we need are fair terms of trade. When they realize that Africans were becoming tired because of non-tariff barriers. Now the standard issues of standards to reject your goods entering their markets. They came up with this AGUA. And they knew that the AGUA was not going to be a sustainable alternative because all we could do was to export garments. Now Ghana, come on, you can't reduce. They have Bangladesh, they have Mexico, and all those supplying them with garments. They needed more countries to do so that prices of these garments would go down. That's the only offer they gave us. But Young can say, whatever we produce in Ghana, the way we allow your imports into our country, give us the same treatment, national ABC. They will never tolerate that. And if there is any risky business that you think Ghanaians are engaging in, I think that the country that is engaging in risky business is the US. But you see, Gaza, there is genocide that is ongoing. It's a universal crime. Genocide is a universal crime. And the human rights are between LGBTQ and genocide. Which one requires much more urgent attention?
And that attack is not being born out of self-defense.
No.
That attack on them is not born out of self-defense.
The murder of innocent civilians has nothing to do with self-defense. They are killing people on a daily. What is the position of the US government? They have been dodgy. To the extent that when Algeria presented a resolution before the Security Council, they vetoed it. And Nemuka human rights wants them. What is more precious than the very life of the human, itself? Yeka human rights. You need to be a human to have rights. The very life of that human, is being taken away. Many countries, including all the major powers on the Security Council, said there's a need for a permanent ceasefire. You vetoed it. And then move back and say LGBTQ is a human rights issue, and that you are conditioning our relationship based on how we pass that into law or not. Well, we'll pass it into law. Let's see if you want, see what the relations say.
Because more grounds back on and say the bill and the conversations around it, it looking more say a hate speech into a hate, and I said that clouding with the bill in Parliament.
No, what is hate speech?
We hate Nkofua involved in Sadia.
I don't
some of them
if I say
through no fault of theirs.
What do they mean by through no fault of theirs?
I think Mr.
They were born that way. You've not heard that.
And so the US embassy's argument is they were born gays.
I think 1 second, Mr. Obi. You want to the case of Murphy and Ramsey.
Yes.
Obi ne mami na tifi. Wo mra say the mere fact because obi be believe in the facts of personal polygamy no.
$500
plus
not more
imprisonment.
than 5 years imprisonment.
Some legitimately class polygamy and juma. Minebio, but me believe
once you express that belief,
can you imagine this people?
You falling foul of them.
That's the law.
Yeah, polygamy, no. Expression of the belief.
The right to believe, to freely believe in things, and human right.
A human right.
To them, that one
is the right to marry more than one. You're being so right.
No, but let's even talk about those rights that are found in the Universal Declaration of Human. The right to freely believe in whatever you want to believe. That is a human right.
A human right. But a fetus and absolute.
No right is absolute.
Absolutely.
So they should recognize that this nonsense they are talking about. How can you between genocide and Sebi, Obi Opeso Trumu, which one is more important?
But
the right to life is in the Declaration of Human Rights.
No, according to the U.S. Embassy, hateful. You are preaching hate against or more find you.
They are condoning genocide.
Hate against those who are just living together.
By their inaction, no, they are condoning genocide. Between the two, which one is worse? Say, Makacho say, Meba, okay. Chronobo. Say, Bonnie.
Yes.
Who can say here Chronobo is it hate speech?
Yes, from what
maybe, sir.
No.
It is not. So how come?
From their definition,
how different is that from the Yekan Wazemi? The double standards, they need to stop. You see, the time are now, they saw themselves as global police. No, we are no longer in a unipolar world.
Who even made them global police?
Well, at some point, they
superpowers.
What is here? Now the world is no longer. The world is now a multipolar world. We've moved away from that unipolarity. No, US is no longer a single country that oversees everybody. What is here? And they cannot be sitting in in their country and attempting to determine for the rest of us what we should or should not do. What is here? And Obina SIT, the examples of the Arab countries, they are doing business with Saudi Arabia. In fact, US is the biggest exporter of arms to Saudi Arabia. What is here? And they import a great deal of their oil. Their trade balance between the two countries is very huge. But is it a country that tolerates LGBTQ?
No.
There are explicit laws that prohibit.
It's even interesting, the focus has been on Uganda when Nigeria passed anti-LGBT laws
long ago,
15 or so years ago.
The Sharia law is and very soon Kenya is also going to do the same thing.
We are just looking on ourselves.
No, by in 96, South Africa passed to Omodi Omojitum.
Now,
send any Omodi.
But are you telling me, say, in 96, that was just 2 years after their independence? What is here? And it stood to reason, say, at the time, no mudasu kita to me, no. They were not, it wasn't the black South Africa. What is here? And it stood to reason. Me assure say, if that conversation is resurrected, cannot be different.
It might be different.
What is here? Let me end on this note. President Akufo-Addo. Yenyina yesra. Uji trumu.
Why me?
We wo.
Dabi.
Eda.
Senior. Uji tum. Uji tum. And to just take this panel as a micro reflection of Ghana. The entire country. Nobody accepts trumu. Mimi free. I'm from Northeast. From the People's Republic of Gambaga. Of the Eastern region.
Mimi free. Ashanti region.
And Western.
And Ashanti actually.
No, but what's now?
And I stayed in Western.
And Ashanti. And these are 4 or 5 different regions. And none of us edges are in it. This is telling for the president. Say, Ghana ha Sebi Samus Uni Engine tum. You have a few people who are profiting from that conversation. It is not. Why? If they are so minded about human rights, in the anti-witchcraft bill, how many of them were loudest on it like they are on this LGBTQ? No, catch me. Amongst which of them was loudest? Witchcraft, even though I come from a town where those things, And it's not, it's not like we are mistreating witchcrafts per se, but it's just providing a safe haven for them. But enumpono, you see the treatment are omu femuno, enya papa.
Yeah.
These are issues of human rights. Omu do say ne kan hwasem. It is because some of one who are accused of witchcraft, none of them has money to pay anybody. You will hardly heard them. But they are loudest on this issue. Not because they believe in the fact say LGBT some human rights issues. But there is a bigger motivation elsewhere. And you would find few elements now who are profiting from the conversation, saying is a matter of human rights and choices and so on. But majority of Ghana for and this adding to. And the funny thing is that MPP for Duduana and in fact and just adding to members of the MPP in Parliament were part of those who proposed Sabili. The MPP as a party, Mijitum say, and Yadia Omufuaso. Mampeni Akufado, you have a huge responsibility.
A historic one.
A historic one. Russia, so. Oh, Mudia, say, who see who just on to corruption or Koyebi. He has, look, a unique responsibility. Unique in the sense that this will go down in history as a president who assented to the bill
or refused to assent.
I like that. Or refused to. No, I like to favor caution.
Yeah.
I like to be on the side of optimism. Say obey.
That's speculative.
Say onye. No, so obey is equally speculative. Yeah, so obey you on you. But I am inviting his integrity. I am inviting his religiosity. I am appealing to the fact that he wants his party to continue to survive long after he's gone. Maminka Bibinchiro,
are you by this saying
LGBTQ
are you by this saying
it's going to have an effect in the election? No?
His action or inaction on this bill, no,
will reflect on the fortunes of the MPP in 2024.
Of course.
Hey.
Manunko kase or jitum on sign it. Let's just about me. Kaben says Sinino. Assembly be why I said kind of plain.
In the no person just say a trap and our tom one.
A trap
or a tom.
Who can trap and I just say they are not jitum.
Oh, that be and yes,
so Jitumudia, or if he agrees that this is something that we need to banish from our society, anti trap.
He said he's on record to have said, sir, it is not under it is not under him. Remember, it is not under him. And as Sadie we ebe legal. Specific or Anglican.
No, legal. So inaction.
That's what I'm saying.
No, that leaves a room for inaction.
That's what I'm saying. In the message,
which is critical.
Okay, sir, it is not under him. And as way legal. Different from it is not under me. That illegal.
Which means this is good context. That is the more reason why I'm appealing to the president. Say, look, the MPP as an entity. Their survival depends on the decision he takes on this particular issue. Because he's been dodgy. When it came to Atamils, in fact, let's start with Mia Makokra. Accra, former President Kufuor. He was emphatic, he was explicit. Also, he's hard, no. And Ghana. Atamils was very clear.
I have the video here.
Mambenyi Mahama
recently has
said it. It is only President Akufo-Addo who is dodgy with this issue.
Or say under him it will never be
legal.
You
see, which means
three different
when you say that, it leaves room for inaction, which means I might decide not to do anything about it. I will neither declare it illegal nor declare it legal. Which inaction in itself is negative. And our inaction in this particular instance means you are condoning it. That's what it means. And if you either you make it legal or you don't take any action, they have similar effect.
Yeah.
The only action Ghana for are expecting from the president
is to make it illegal.
Is to criminalize it. Sign to that bill. Now be who say mampenyin de sebisa musue de onjintum. But if he plays games with this, not only is he going to affect him as an individual, because he will go down in history as a president who refused
to sign gay bill,
to banish this musue from our society. He will go down in history as Obia who superintended over a party that couldn't criminalize Trumu. And it is going to have an effect. Look, Sardin, it will dog Dr. Baumia for the rest of his political life. Because young guys are no anyo. You better say the party for no for so. You better say MPP before the bad sebi TTD idea omojitum. Trumu no omojitum. Because their president refused to assent to the bill. And the responsibility on his head, no. Enyagro. And in the past, he gave us a cause to doubt his commitment to this process of making it illegal. If anybody was in doubt, I was in doubt about his commitment. Now the president has a unique opportunity to tell us, to put our issue to rest.
To rest once and for all.
Once and for all.
Let us believe he will do it.
Belief is one thing.
And doing it.
Sometimes belief has to be inspired by by previous events.
What more would you expect us? The inspiration we're giving today, and
maybe it will be a 6 match package, you know.
Let it be.
Say we 6 months professor.
Now I sign.
Oh, no, say when you create about Monday and go in a cambum. Get up common.
Oh no, Uncle, you better not say, because this is a future bill. This is a bill of the future. Because Sebi LGBTQ community, they are not relenting with their shenanigans. They will continue. But say, we can at least keep them in check. We can keep them in range. But with Jahanasana,
it's a problem.
Oka say it is bound to happen. No?
Yeah.
His inaction would actually hasten.
Say it is not bound to happen.
Or say it is bound to happen. It
is bound to happen.
Or say it requires some
kind of force,
advocacy, some activism. And that's why it's becoming a bit problematic. If you are saying, say, with activism and the requisite advocacy, no,
it will come.
Ghana for will tolerate Samus, you know. Now you have a bill. Now you've been invited to make it impossible for that activism to even take place in the first place.
And the same bill now was
that's why I find the president conflicted. Because Onunodi Kanka say, with the right advocacy,
you don't want to be in his shoes at this moment.
I want to be where I can easily sign that bill into law and put this whole matter to rest and go home, sleep peaceably at night in the knowledge, say,
I've done what
I exited,
the Ghanaian people want.
Yes, for once.
And your name will go down in history.
As look, what was a Ghana for? New Bonnie Bibri. Now we Papa Bakwa Sumbo. People are likely to forgive and forget all your iniquities and your trespasses.
Yeah.
The economic trespasses that he has engaged in.
This can.
So one Jaya with a solid come here, at least Jaya with an anti-gay bill, Mr. President.
Atik Mohammed. Obi, after 67 years of independence, is it not pathetic that a sovereign country like Ghana is literally on its knees because of a law enacted by the representatives of its people? I guess we are simply not independent. Honorable Ninoy Hansen Norte, NP Tema Central constituency. We say, Obi, kindly ask America, what about men who believe in polygamy? Is it not their right? The selective amnesia coming from the West is so rich. And was sending me a link. The link is a YouTube link which says, Nana Akufo-Addo says no to LGBTQ plus and same-sex marriage in Ghana. And he adds that, Obi, he spoke about the legalization of same-sex marriage and said his administration won't legalize it. Protozoa, office of the chief of staff, and on the way about.
It came after sex.
I say yes,
but you allow same sex.
No, hold on. Listen, at least
you will allow their marriage, but you allow it.
It came after we have bashed him from this.
No, you allow the activity, but not their marriage. Is that what
the same person when he met?
The bail is before him. Let's see what
the bail is before him.
No.
And constitutionally,
the only
he has 7 days to respond to.
Oh, it's 7 days.
7 days to respond to Parliament.
7 days from when he takes receipt
of the bill.
Whether or not he will.
Not assuming it went.
They only know that Ghana for any the assent to the bill. That's the only know.
So
as for same, and you see, people need to distinguish between same-sex marriage and same-sex. Having sex with the same sex. They are two different things. You can be doing your things without getting married.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if he says he wouldn't allow same-sex marriage,
and that's why
it doesn't mean say.
And that's why the bill the bill in its current form and kasa about anything marriage.
The thing
Because same-sex
marriage in the
marriage
first place.
is already outlawed.
Sir.
Our definition for marriage is clear in Ghana. And the same-sex marriage is outlawed.
It's as if you baby. It's alone and the starting point in the law is open. So that's when grounds and that's when my view
so when he speaks about not allowing same-sex marriage, that is not
a conversation.
Different.
It is not a conversation.
That can lead you somewhere, no?
The only no is to assent to this bill.
Sure. We say, Obi, if some groups claim LGBT is the right of people and must be accepted, I think it's my right to move anywhere in the world. So American embassy should allow me to stay in the USA without any visa restrictions. But that's the absurdity of the transgender concept, where you are a man.
What do you say? What transgambaga form or US?
Yeah. You are a man, but you
they
believe
identify as gambaga form, but they are trapped in the US.
No, Obi, yeah.
They are trapped in the
you
US.
are a woman trapped in a man.
Meanwhile, these same people will tell you some people have some psychological issues. You wouldn't necessarily create a psychological problem. So we nipa da sene ya bo we buy and we be man. Wo say when if you dey do article 11 no hu say we kra na say we ba mo na.
We oba na wo she be man body.
Can you just imagine?
Aden.
Why say do you free?
But unim say some of them are also did transitioning.
Oh, okay.
And what then does that mean? Said they realized they were in the wrong body, went to the new body, now they are realizing they need to go back to the old body. What confusion is that? So if it is say, oh, I was trapped in the wrong body, why are you then detransitioning again? This
okay, there is Obi sending a story. Say Obi, per the majority leader, the bill has not yet been sent to the president. My question is, what are they waiting for?
Yeah.
This bill should be signed ASAP because he attaches a story. I think 3news.com report.
Majority leader is speaking.
Yeah, but 3news.com report said anti-gay bill. We are not done. Even Bagwin and the sponsors have not seen the final draft. Afenyo marking.
Is a new this is problematic.
No, we're 4 minutes ago.
Honorable.
No, sorry, no.
We a final consideration, me boy.
They have done it.
But you see, my issue is that this majority leader,
if it has
this majority leader, in the last minute was trying to
yeah.
introduce some shenanigans into the conversation.
Sir, Onono had an opinion on the custodial sentence,
which is part of the conversation.
Yes,
he had some issues.
Yeah, he had some issues.
They should give them community service.
Community service.
How is that deterring enough?
I can remember what I'm saying. So am I? It was all kinds of young and
you are talking about
anyone. Okay, the one and the can, but it was you didn't able. The one to say, will be a bonnia, if you are saying, and you didn't go to, and you can wasn't. If you introduce something that is not there, what do you want us to do?
So that they will declare the entire illegal.
What the majority leader is saying probably is that it hasn't reached the destination, but he is not saying that it won't go. The conveying of the bill to the presidency is another process. It goes under the bag of the legislature.
Okay.
So for any reason, either the speaker is not around or was not around at the time, it will happen because we have finished. It must be communicated to the president.
Our reporter in Parliament, any majority leader didn't come and the report he sent out of the conversation, they say majority leader Alexander Afenyo Markin advocates for an urgent suit against the controversial anti-LGBTQ.
Oh, really?
A majority
passed by Parliament last week as he continues his onslaught on the bill. Details, as he says, Parliament has completed compilation of the bill and it will take some time before it gets to the president. The majority leader wants a citizen to mount an action to the Supreme Court of Ghana to test the constitutionality of the bill passed by Parliament, but yet to be signed into law by the president, although he will not comment if he himself will take the step. Afenyo Markin also says Ghanaians should not mount pressure on the president as the bill is still in Parliament, yet to be sent to the president. That's what Parliament and Koi.
Me start my conversation because I say me between me time back when pay you.
Nasa bill nin call president.
And then you can was in bill president was. Also say or no air shasa Ghana ni been taking against step going see against the all on day.
Nasa no chese on ne.
No on so on
if you strongly about
it.
So if every legislator has issues with laws,
yes,
and the encouragement in the very minute we pass a bill into law, go to court and go and challenge it. And Ghana,
no, but he's on public record to have said, he agrees with the principle of the bill.
Okay,
what is agrees?
Custodial
sentences.
He shouldn't do
cherry picking.
Yeah, cherry picking.
But we don't also have to create a system where nobody can express a dissenting
opinion.
Going to court.
You are there. When
is not part of Parliament.
This is what sometimes have issues even from the presidency because US Vice President back Ghana. President make comment be. Na Emma dey here to say as onu kwa dey nkwa anya dey bi kwa as fan humpo. Because every one say all can was o. Private people be na ye bi na kura man. I mean, what is this? It is a private people now you say a private say by number na which one is your problem?
So want me
who dey say exactly. Who dey say never do nchen. Now what this be tafa open aces now they sign. Now I no enya ma ho no who di kan kra kire say ade no kwanya medunte ba won sign na you twam so be sign. As Atik said, times of essence so far as this matter is concerned.
Oh, now they have so stampede president.
Yes, stampede president there but
the inflation on the fortunes of the candidates and the party.
The most important thing is that Parliament has finished.
Yes, but you've not sent it to the president.
We have not sent it to the president. I will blame the
clerks of Parliament,
the council, Parliamentary Council, because now that Parliament has passed, it is only a process to get it to the presidency. And it me might be say bibi o hot speaker. And the CBC.
Na mo pass we or say almost I type final draft be ana. And draft na ma pass no.
The arcade a kwaye be fa so fi parliamentary presidency. Enye parliament for assembly o. Say no akodu staff no.
Parliamentary service.
Speaker and the down
and the dom no.
Enti omo na say omo hwese kudu. Na president so second say 7 days no. So be comment say
obese and say or problem with some portions.
What was the position of Urachi Mensabunso on this issue?
On which issue?
On the anti-gay.
No, he has been said there be
he supposed.
If you've listened to Sam George, anywhere Sam George speaks, he mentions his name and we're commending for the work he did. He alone, according to Sam George, proposed more than 50 amendments to the bill to make it solid as it is now. Yeah.
I do not want to be a conspiracy theorist.
Anka.
And you pass away now before the final consideration. Yes, you got to know.
Before
the final consideration.
Before.
Yeah, consider we. Wabeshana name no kase Ghana.
Na say the wabeshana name went me and stop the passage.
He tried it. What take certain steps?
No, it was not to stop. It was not to stop. He proposed amendment. It was not to stop it.
The consideration. And final consideration.
Amendment if you pass you can bring
of course.
So and yetimi two more different matter.
Sure.
Why any
Obi anyanto.
Still I see unko court na nhwe.
Court no can a proposal. And you no proposal. Ya pass we kra na so be court.
Unko no. He doesn't even tell us.
Exactly. Well,
but me, my conspiracy theory is that does it have any correlation near Kukosu? His views on the matter.
You are on your own, and you can own your thoughts.
That's it. I am owning them at this point.
Your thoughts.
Is there a correlation between the change in leadership and people's views on this bill?
Not that I know. Because I did not see anybody who was against the bill.
Against it.
Except
either Afenyo or Chi. So I don't see the correlation.
You see, a bill becomes ineffectual when you water down the content.
The content has not been affected.
No, you see, the views, they may not be exactly saying, oh, mimpe anti-gay bill, no. But if you are reducing the thing to a useless document, you are as good as saying them impaired, because if the punishment regime and say they should serve custodial sentences. Community service.
We don't have community service in this country.
How is that deterring enough for BSB?
There is currently a bill in Parliament.
But it is not in law.
In the first place, there's no such legal arrangement.
Yes.
There's no non-custodial sentencing.
Yeah.
Now that's first. Secondly, idea Ghana for feel passionately about. And you say if we have to have a deterrence regime, it has to be very strong. Custodial sentence. Yen free on mum nipano sabi oko yen obey yaman be prapra
because oko prisoner because of the rumor say a hokra na sadi and cost more.
Are you operating on rumor?
Then which
law is made based on rumor? Which law is made based on rumor? Do we make laws based on rumor?
Or say time I know a student or Ghana School of Law on your opportunity as part of the project work to visit in Sawin prison then. And that was what Amania prisons for the ball money BB and the challenge. The cost or honey, a man for a fianco for the OT, based on that.
That's a rumor. And he's saying, so, into Uganda for Omunim said, that in a cost in prison.
They want to say a real bill.
Omunim president and
they do 7 years. Marcus and Ediaba.
Now, my president 7 days.
I can't 7 days.
Oh, Bibia,
when the Bibia, you can't be signed.
Matiwese Obi, the signing of this bill will push the country towards self-sufficiency, which is long overdue in my view. It puts the current and future presidents in a tight corner. The Almighty God has descended on Ghana, and if handled well, we would be the Singapore of Africa soon. Kweku Owusu, somewhere in Koforidia. This one says, Obi, do you know that the U.S. Vice President came to Ghana with her husband, but was advising President Akufo-Addo to accept LGBTQI? Dr. Bawumia, President, must hold a press conference to make things clear to us and to the U.S. that we do not accept LGBTQ. Until then, I won't believe that these duo don't support LGBTQ. The future is pregnant. Prince Henry, Ewo Koforidia.
When the Vice President came with her,
yes, the husband,
they didn't come to Parliament.
Oma Parliament.
They went to visit the president at the presidency.
I think they were aware that there is unanimity.
What was it? You would have wished that Parliament supported.
But I'm sure, sir, about Parliament, of course, speakers conference room, because yes, speaker.
Yes.
No, speaker, and Gaza crab catcher.
About Parliament, give me indication, say, or no buy or any other. Come on.
Let's start demanding that the Parliamentary service must hasten the sending of the bill to the president
faster.
Yeah.
No, because that's last week on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
By now it should have been ready.
Obi, let us pass a new law, or say a new law to allow those who ignorantly married. Oh, Muntie, Fred Agbenyo said, Obi, let us pass a new law to allow those who ignorantly married by ordinance without averting their minds to the limitations and restrictions and now want to go into polygamy to do so without any problem. As for the West, may God forgive them. They are against polygamy and yet promote same-sex relationships.
That portion of the ordinance to allow
and make it free.
I mean, it's an polygamy is optional. I mean, you should be free to do that. And there are all kinds of reasonable empirical reasons to support the amendment.
No, you're right.
Then that bill will be an interesting private members bill.
Already we have a sponsor.
Yes. And the other we have a sponsor. It's very important. It's very important. Look, you have no idea how many men are yearning for this kind of freedom. Marriage freedom. You see, freedoms come in different platforms. We fought for our freedoms.
Why do you go into that marital
into ordinance when you know your
fight for your
personal disposition?
They have no understanding of the implications. And what we say,
and the man babies one
and now they've reduced Christian marriage to ordinance. So worry crowd was sorry na ya sign ya won't worry you. And nipa no
say Eshenkofo trim say. And I don't know how it happened, but Eshenkofo trim say when you go under customary law, say eba property sharing when one of them is offer and Shana was swine, but they didn't know say no, that was the mindset. The beneficiaries say it was told say ordinance na yemrem ordinance na yemrem inti mran bebo ho ban o ware ukuna abusuafo ntimi mepamo you know those things
and the other issue is that really marriages to transaction inti ayo say once I file for divorce then you be change 50. Into customary marriage, and
affairs. So the whole mindset was said, customary.
Spousal rights.
Sure.
And when the Bema, and when you're 50-50,
equity is equality.
Equitable part. And you know, and when I say passes
exactly, that will take care of
Article 22. I say passing, I mean, I say be passing.
But even when you are coming under PNDC law 111. That's a way customary wife once you are recognized, say the marriage was valid, you know. Say Nipano ewu interstate you are still entitled to the
property sharing has got nothing to do with marriage.
Once you are
once
you are a wife.
Yes, valid. And having gone through the valid processes. That's what
with ordinance. When people want to reduce marriage to like they want to make it transactional, it's easy for them to proceed with that transactions.
A J and a J, Mensa versus Mensa, all those cases.
Anyway,
all those cases. No,
our appeal now is to the Parliamentary Service. Munyan temna mfa de nko tumampi. No, but we can even one day I will pick it too. But me be a check.
Or sit you can go
no. If they are delaying, we can organize a demonstration to go there.
We
know the road to the presidency. So if they
your WhatsApp number is 0548-443-523. As we begin to wrap up, 0548-443-523. We say, Obi, good evening. Great. Okay. This one says, Obi, good evening. I've heard on many radio and TV stations, NDC propagandists are actually claiming that the renowned Prof. Audrey Gadjekpo is blah 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 blah. Okay, and also can no one express a view anymore, and that's also not fair. I think it's not something we should counter and say. So be a contrary opinion, and people begin attacking them, and yeah, fair. Let's allow the speech. We say, Obi, it is sweet, it is hooray that the Parliament has been able to pass the anti-LGBTQI law bill. The President, I am very sure, will sign. The problem here also is that many innocent girls and boys pick these pervert attitudes from our second cycle institutions. The so-called school mothers are the real culprit who start supi with our innocent girls that come to their schools. And also one thing, root cause back when was a itiminiashe. We say Obi, Honorable Afenyo is a brotherhood, so he cares about brothers. OP, Edia, or Diaba, Enono. Good evening, OB, and greetings to your panelists. Please kindly verify the letter for me. Which letter? One for letter, no answer. Okay. OB, former President Mahama said they should allow those people to come out and express themselves in 2013. Baba Port Port Elizabeth in South Africa. Also former president in 2013. I don't know.
It's not true.
I don't know.
It's not true.
Okay.
On the first statement on this thing, Scotland. Say I try say personalizing one.
Personal.
Hold on.
The fight against homosexuality must not only be done, but must also be seen to be done. You can't be associated with Andrew Solomon.
Thank you very much.
It weakens the fight.
No.
And there's a
all right, sir.
Oh, okay.
All right, sing it.
It is like to move the way so. Now Atik and Brown fin there. Now, yeah, so yeah.
Mr. Solomon,
Ekosiisen,
you know, it
weakens the
Mrs.
And Andrew Solomon. Not now say
Mrs.
In the relationship or your bar.
No, they call themselves my wife, my husband. Mrs. Solomon.
My wife, my husband. Who called them?
When two men decide to marry,
no, I mean,
one is Mrs.
No, yeah, but so
make a just
Mrs.
So among them, one is a woman, or one pretends to be a woman. Make
Solo and Mrs. Associating with Mrs. Nukra was problematic. For me, I believe, sir, when you are dealing with these issues,
but that doesn't defeat the fact that his position
I agree
has
with you.
Been clear.
And American,
on 2 occasions, I mean,
what has here?
On when a foreign opportunity to speak about the matter. He started his stance. I want to make his argument and say, "O man will do almost only a traditionalist Christians, Muslims." No, and this training now and to no idea any minute to confirm. He said it there. I know Ghana has no about 1 or 2 occasions, and once I can say no. Intimacy on the time. So there's no conflict in one publicity and be out.
That may well be. There's no conversation with Mr. Solomon was problematic.
No, I agree.
Yeah, but that's why I find the election of the president.
There is one thing, sir, and that is what we blamed Nanado for the choice of words. Say, under me, it will not be legal. So what can say end to mean see my penswa. One can say me and the illegal or my penswa. Two different things. Yes. I think so. We make it public statement. They should be very clear.
No, he was clear in his mind what he wanted to communicate. It's not that he chose his words wrongly. He carefully chose his words. And that's where my problem is.
Yeah.
Because it shows some level of inertia. As a mutro muju meye minye, but as a Ghana phone APM, media coming quad and coming. But post there and Mrs. Solomon's incident, President Mahama came out clearly to state his position. Mampenyin Akufo-Addo hasn't stated clearly what his position is on this issue.
His position is that it will not be legal under him.
No, what do you mean by it will not be legal?
But that's
it will not be
said.
illegal either. It will not be illegal either.
Anyway, sir, Obi, if you go to Europe and you want to kill a cat or a dog for meals, they said it's criminal offense. So they should give Ghana a break. Anani is my name from Area Krum in Bono region.
Who is David Amba?
Nyabutre. Obi, please tell Atik not to divorce religion and marriage. In the book of Genesis, God talked about it. In the book of Proverbs, it stated that he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from God. In this context, marriage is established by God. Obi, finally, this is the price we pay for disobeying and betraying in Nkrumah. How do you sing your own song with your mouth in another person's kitchen? General Ortega Edie Enono. Hi, Obi. As a people, we should not forget this. The one who pays the piper calls the tune. Let's cut our spending according to our pocket. There is no free lunch anywhere in the world. Let's increase our revenue collection. Everywhere you go in Ghana, people are building houses but don't pay property tax. Kwame Nkrumah gave us this warning 60 years ago. We dwell on things that are bomboclat. We are worried about gay ideology, but we don't do the basics of life. Galamsey effects are killing us now and many years or decades to come. We are so filthy as a nation. We are so corrupt as a people. It's not even funny anymore. We, and I am part, gotta change our mindset. Everything is about God, but we don't do what his teachings tell us. It's so sad. The people must change. And stop blaming, we as a people must change and stop blaming politicians. Accountability must be enforced with the highest punishment possible. Ode Abba from Amherst in Massachusetts. That's it, Papa. We say Obi. Okay. Obi, your guests are being naive by comparing Ghana to Saudi Arabia and other oil-rich Gulf states. These countries don't need the World Bank, IMF, and the Western world to survive. Can you say same about Ghana? Let's be realistic and stop behaving as if this anti-LGBTQ bill is the best thing that happened to Mother Ghana. Many of us are against LGBTQI, but we are also against the bill in its present form. Maxwell, Ewo Abokobi. Abokobi.
There was a time that Ghana had nothing to do with IMF. The first time Ghana called IMF was under the busiest time. So which means that proud to no time. Not Ghana near IMF any check can be. Where we surviving?
But even under Nkrumah,
so what I say? Where we surviving?
It wasn't in the form that.
Okay, so you see, a mindset too.
Obi said, Obi. The NDC has an agenda for President Nana Akufo-Addo. Ask them, why was this bill not passed under Mohammed's time? Cape Coast.
There was never a bill.
There was never a bill.
And I said a private member's bill.
So that at the time there was nobody could do private members bill. Unim. It was under Michael Kwena.
Michael Kwena started.
There was no such thing.
It was in our laws, but not in invoke. Yeah.
Because of this,
Obi any agenda biama no. Obi any agenda biama no.
Say someone set a trap.
Yes, trap. No, trap in the
O say.
Me say to trap in the house.
Only a trap if
or trap on sign watum.
That is the one.
Which means ojitum but pressure. No,
I don't know
you.
I don't know because of one sign.
It is only a trap.
Me say 7 days I seen at here okay, you say the commander. We dey me am my man up to 40 something.
March.
40th March. Me man 10 days.
That it will not be fair. It's entirely possible, sir. For the next 14 days, the Parliament
I'm going to mountain the pressure.
It should
Parliament
be
when I think is on one to the can up now. I'm on free service. This thing will get to him, Obi. I'm not going to name. Now, Mr. Agency now would attend to other laws. Would be attended to his prepared.
No, he needs to.
He will do it.
But as a people, we are
the balance. It depends on this.
Why are we not showing the same angst against other ills in our society?
Like, we've spoken about sanitation. The politicians have refused to listen. Yes. And I want us to start legislating on sanitation.
But there are several laws on so many ills. Ills, they are now for
sanitation was you want us to legislate on galamsey? It's already an illegal activity. Enforcement is with the executive. Enforcement is with comes back to the same person. It comes back to the same person. He's the head of the executive.
Okay, Obi said, Obi, good day. The NDC just wants to use this to force the president to sign because they know its financial implications.
It has got no NDC
They know its financial implications on our economy. Listen to the NDC guy very well. Instead of talking straight to the matter, you see he is politicizing the issue. Or say, I think the president should give Ghanaians the right to vote on this issue before he signs. A referendum must be done.
Educate yourself.
This doesn't require.
Why is
the president doing? You see, they are not trying to provide an opportunity for an escape. Why then
when you end this name Parliament now pass him. Whether it's a private member, a law of Parliament, and you pass. And the Ghana share it to say a pass him. We have Mampani science and a
voting is a way of gauging people's opinions. A survey was done. 90% of Ghana.
The CDD survey over 93%.
If he's looking for,
no, can't be and I was 7% I support him.
But you also know, say CDD are a conductors are survey. They also have an interesting perspective on this. Oh, you've not heard?
No, it's not. Their perspective becomes an opinion.
Absolutely.
But the survey, this is what I'm speaking to.
Yeah, the survey, no.
But
I'm looking at the.
When you do a research,
sometimes. A lot of the people are forming a group now. Yes, a professor, Tichwa, they are all from CD. You mean I fellows at
Oh, you mean one more? I can't say. Oh, okay.
See, that's the interesting thing about research. The outcomes are usually objective.
Yeah.
You may have a certain opinion, but the research will tell you, say,
the outcome is cold.
Of course.
Are you cold to your opinion?
And the near Ghana for air cannon. What the majority of Ghanaians are saying.
Yeah. Obi, there is no law that does not have its basis from religion. Knowing good or bad emerged from religion. I think we cannot use our culture alone as the measure to dismiss this forced act on us to accept. I think we have to combine both culture and religion to make a good case. In Ghana, about 98% of us belong to religious entities. The president must assent to the bill. And if we die, we all die.
That's all. Was it all die, be die? Another kind. Was it all die, be die?
Let the US see whether Ghana will survive or not. You know that Russia does very well when it comes to space exploration. Whenever they are under sanctions. Yeah. Iran survived and became, that major player in global politics because of the sanctions they endured. Sometimes sanctions are a wake-up call.
Of course.
And funny say, the US says, we will devise ways to survive, independent of our age. No?
That is why
I think that sometimes we need to stand up and say, look, these are the things we believe in. And them the consequences.
That is why I first says Obi. Nanado made us understood say sika wo mamu yete so. Vice President does say why you Bank of Ghana pay when you say sika wo mamu and we don't need to borrow to survive. This is the time. Sanctions in mra na mu mienu nyina mo se mo kan every day put it into test. Na dia mo kan se mo say wo mo fanya djuma. No man.
In the state of Utah, polygamy is practiced among the Latter-day Saints. Verify. Just as in Ghana, one has to be careful of bigamy and forced marriage of women underage. We were entreated to accept and pay e-levy so that the country wouldn't go to the IMF because of the unfavorable consequences. Let's remember that the president told us that the government couldn't couldn't bring back to life people who died from COVID, but could work to bring back the economy. Still, it was salt pond. Obi, a sexual orientation that is advocated for, promoted, funded, requires one to alter his or her sexual organ assigned at birth is not natural and not a human right issue and must be kicked against. Nobody advocates for heterosexuals, promote them or fund them because it is natural. It is the foundation of our existence. We call for partnership, not neocolonialism. Why always sub-Saharan Africa and not North Africa, Asia, or the larger Arab world? Is it because they see us to be cowards? It is now or never. Kofi Ewo Hacho.
That's very true.
And me, I can say, I love the nationalism of Ghanaians issue. No? Are we also prepared to say, okay, if we get our president to sign this thing, there will be consequences, and the whole country would be. The whole country will say, so, okay, where the can that happen?
And
what to the US ambassador? And that's the position of the US.
America for some music, and I'm going to music.
We get more loans from Canada than we get from them.
Not the loans. The loans, the end of the year, the loans conversation is different.
Forget US aid. They have more grants than the US does.
Adibion maybe and other countries can give us.
Because they are not loud about their investments in Ghana, no. You hardly get to know. Are not doing well.
The ambassador, I think so.
It's a war. No, I didn't know they were going to be.
Obi, do you know British Muslims cannot marry more than one woman under British law? It is against the law. Oh, really?
No, but even in the US, you can't marry more than one.
Yeah, it doesn't matter your religion.
It's a law. It doesn't matter.
In the way a Muslim crowd who believe in polygamy, you cannot.
Now, so they are here talking about human rights. And human rights, human rights, the right to religion.
Yeah,
is a
fundamental
human
right. Inalienable,
indestructible. What is that? Now, so how much a day you free? Say my right to more than one wife as a Muslim in the UK is taken
outlawed.
He's taken away. Now, so
that's execrable.
It's
preposterous.
Unacceptable. Look at what is happening in Gaza. If you are minded about human rights, you are vetoing call for ceasefire in Gaza because human lives are lost. And yet you have the temerity, the audacity, the effrontery to come to Ghana and tell us, "Sebi trumu human right into engine too."
Kwejua Hodo, that's for providing us that information. We say, Obi, my father married 14 women.
Thank you.
We are 27 children in all.
Correct.
Kwesi Japan.
Yes.
About 14 women there.
No, and they were all excited in the marriage. Masa.
14 women there.
I don't see the answer.
I do also.
Oh, 27.
My grandmom say my maternal grandmom. Papa, you want back up, you want one. Oh, what if I for 20?
Oh, that's okay.
14 women.
But no, the late it's a sensitive area, but a late king or chief in Dabong.
Yes.
They were in the 30s and above. What is it?
That's interesting.
Each woman was happy to be there.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Consent. I don't know.
Anyone know what is it?
You are part of the list. For the records.
Okay, hi.
Okay. Obi, good evening. The passion with which the NDC guys are pushing this LGBTQ plus law to be passed by the president has a sinister agenda. According to them, to hell with the circumstances and any financial repercussions, because they are not in power. They are now in opposition, yearning to come to power. They are too diabolic. Nana Ajare Kodia, Belgium.
When Speaker posed that question in Parliament, those who are against it say no. MPP for no. So
good evening, Obi.
They were there.
The point is that many of us, including your panelists, are against the act. But
the act of homosexuality.
Yeah, the act of homosexuality. But my problem is incriminating those who engage in it is where some of us draw the line. Faith and emotions against reality.
I mean, what the last part? What does that mean? The reality is that trumu is acceptable, normal.
Hey, I do.
No, but you see, why do we legislate? We make laws to help us live together.
Yes.
Now, the reason sometimes why do we introduce punishment into things we want people to avoid?
To deter others from going into it.
This is also Now, so your issue is that there is punishment that is exacted for non-compliance. What are you saying? This is contradictory.
Yeah.
Because if you want to enforce compliance, there has to be some punishment or sanction regime. Ebe mani pane who say me yesaya ehun sunsansuoni. But there is no punishment. And one say you come and speak brofu bibiri and jin tumu.
Obi say obi me bibia anya me yakra say kill na ka ho no kill no.
Na kill is for them.
Here. Eno na ultimate kasa what you feeling here me pool here you see here when now person
want to nyale so for you dress here won nyale
ultimate kasa what you me dua here see me this sense
there's a word
and then now open
is it photosexual some you pair objects no and na say papa bi o see the car or worry in the car o see who can na no ho aba sabi when you and we are invited to tolerate
and where you're normal but who could am I can catch we obi dwene kura say polygamy ya de papa that belief they cannot one on is subject to punishment under your laws.
Obi, I'm disappointed in you and your panelists. I think you guys came to discuss emotions. You didn't tell us what is in the law for Ghanaians to be careful. What should doctors do? Or say, what should doctors do when an LGBT patient come to their clinic? Should they report?
No, does a person come to tell you that I'm LGBT?
No, but even say nipa ne ba or clinica. Then what? The act, because something should happen before. Now about hospital.
I'm hospital say you are to.
Yes.
I didn't know.
No, that is when the police will draw attention to almost show. And I say you can report.
Carry
gun shorter. Sure. You have to report.
It is a question because
normal malaria. Oba Onganja say
one check one who say one there
is hemorrhage at the back. It raises critical questions. What I say, Obana there is complete damage, and they are calling for repair.
Yes,
you have to alert the necessary.
No, but say no. Then you rely on presumption. Presumption say he might have engaged in that act, which presumption is rebuttable.
Let them come and determine. There is a complete damage.
Anything can happen. A bit more say kuku.
Now,
my fancy. You went to Uncle Moise.